Dude, this thing has so much more torque. My 2001 Porsche 911 Carrera 4 has recently undergone some serious changes. Right about 5 months ago, we pulled the engine out of this car with the goal of completely rebuilding the engine from the ground up. The entire purpose of this build is to make it the beefiest 996 911 on the planet so that it can be used extensively on the track and for everyday driving as well. It was showing minor signs of very early stages of bore scoring, basically bore scuffing, and we decided that we're just gonna go ahead and do a full re-sleeving of this engine along with quite a few other beefing up items. This included a 3.4 liter to 3.8 liter conversion from LN Engineering, utilizing their amazing Nikiso line cylinder liners, wider connecting rod bearings from Hardtech, higher compression custom JE pistons, ported cylinder heads, a pinned intermediate shaft, and much, much more. All to culminate into the most beefy M96 engine on the planet, giving this thing the name Project Beef. This thing is now, for all intents and purposes, bulletproof. No more of the M96, M97 gotcha items for this car. In the last episode, we gave this puppy its very first test fire and it went swimmingly. We are now at the point of needing to do break-in on this car, so it is now time to take it on its maiden voyage. So in this episode, we're gonna knock out the first several stages of break-in and get this thing rolling so that we can soon have this thing running up to its full capabilities with no limitations. Thank you so much for tuning in to Fun Ahead TV. Let's get right into it. So here it is. She's back up in the air after the very first start, which was very successful, by the way. We ran it for about almost 25 minutes, I would say. Just getting everything up to temperature. Everything ran wonderfully. I could not be more happy with the way that that first run went. The engine was running super smoothly. It was very responsive. Oil pressure was great. It came up to temperature nicely. We didn't have any fluid leaks other than that little coolant drip, which should be a fairly easy fix. And we had that tiny little fuel leak from the fuel filter, which is resolved now. But other than that, it was a great first start. So we can now officially start making strides towards doing the first drive. As I mentioned in the last video, we basically have kind of two main engine start modes after reinstallation. Engine start and then engine drive. And what I don't do in the first engine start mode is put everything back up together underneath the car. As you can see, we have the main cross member here, but none of the diagonal cross members or the large horizontal cross member as well. We also don't have the stabilizer bar in place, and all of the undercovers are off the car still as well. Reason being, in the event that we do the first start and something goes wrong, well, then at least we didn't have to take the time to install and then uninstall that stuff if we do have to go ahead and pull the engine back out for any reason. You know, you never really know. Oh, also we don't have the half shafts connected. So we've got some work to do, and that is the jumping off point with today's video. So let's go ahead and start putting stuff back together. If you're down to go on a first drive with me, well, please drop a like on this video. It really, really helps my channel out significantly. I appreciate you. Thank you in advance. Okay, now we're gonna kick things off by bundling everything up on the bottom side of the car. And that means, like I said, putting all of the cross members, CV shafts, everything back up in place to have that tidied up, good to go, and then we don't have to think about it anymore past that point. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the biggest pain in the butt of them all, and that is the CV shafts. Honestly, it's not that big of a pain in the butt, but it's probably the most labor intensive thing. So we might as well knock out the hard stuff first. Let's get it done. 81 Newton meters on those bolts. Let's go ahead and get those tightened down. You're not my mom. It's time to go back together with the diagonal support braces. Yes, the diagonal support braces. Well, everyone, as you just saw, we have all of the under braces on, the diagonal cross braces, the horizontal front cross the braces. We have them on. We're sturdy underneath, okay? Good to go. I did go ahead and just check all of our fluids, topped up on the coolant a little bit, checked the engine oil. That is still good. It's actually right kind of in the middle of the dipstick, the high and low on the dipstick. So that's okay for now. Underbody wise, we are good to go. Fluids wise, also good to go. It's time to do our first drive, which is super exciting, but also a little bit nerve-wracking because, you know, the first start is one thing, you know, I mean, that was nerve-wracking enough. First drive is, you know, we're leaving the homestead. We're leaving the tools behind. We've got to just make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row before we set off and leave the shop, because it's got to be good from there. But I have faith. I think that everything seemingly is going to be good. It's just a matter of getting the thing out on the road and seeing how she does and starting to get this thing broken in. But also on that note, that's kind of the thing about putting an engine back in. You think in your head, oh sweet, I've got the engine back in, now it's time to drive. Actually, that's just when the break-in process begins. That's when the troubleshooting process begins. There's always something. You know, we had that fuel leak, we had that little coolant drip. You really have to be on your toes, stay on your toes rather, make sure that all systems are normal. You just got to be aware, you know? And then as things pop up, you got to fix them. And so it's not ready to drive from Ohio to California the second you turn the key after putting an engine back in. Obviously, there's some level of troubleshooting and obviously, in this case, break-in. I don't know if you guys are superstitious at all. Like, I'm not really, but I kind of have like little things that I do. And one of those things is I always leave any tools that I was using for a job out until I know that everything is good to go. I'm superstitious about if you put your tools away, then you're just asking for things to go wrong. I don't know, maybe that's just me and I'm super weird. Do you guys have things like that? Drop them down in the comments, let me know. Other than that, I've kind of run through the checklist in my head. The main things that we needed to do were fluids level checking and reassemble the bottom side of the car. I did not put the undercovers on just because, you know, I want to be able to clearly see if we've got any leaks and I don't want undercovers covering anything up. Let's go ahead and get the 944 moved out of here so that we can get this beautiful steed, the beefiest of steeds, out of the shop. All right, so let's do this thing. Oh yeah, you know we're rocking the teeny tiny sport coat. Was that even a question in your mind? By the way, we gotta do some good luck rubs of the sport coat. Come on, sport coat. Bring us some good luck. All right, game plan. We're gonna start her up. Then I'm gonna jump out, check for any weird fluid leaks or anything and any abnormalities. We're gonna close the frunk and the trunk, and we're gonna take off after, of course, the rev's gonna come down. But let's do it. One last check for oil level. Car says it's good. Let's fire it up. Okay, we've got good oil pressure. Wonderful, love to see it. She sounds really, really, really good. No ticking, nothing. I'll walk around so you guys can hear it. What an amazing sounding car. It already sounds so much spicier than the 3.4 liter. You can just tell it's pushing more air. What a delicious freaking sound. All right, let's close up the frunk and then one more check for fluids under the trunk. We'll let her warm up for a second and then take off. Let's do it. Time to take off. Frunk is closed. It's moving under its own power for the very first time. Project Beef is in motion. All right, so let's go over the game plan. We basically have, call it 4 different break-in modes. One of which is what we did last night, where we ran the car for say 20 to 30 minutes. In my case, I did about 25. Let it get up to temperature under no load. That's kind of break-in part 1. Next part is do a light drive for about the same amount of time, 20 to 30 minutes, but under load, not under heavy load. We're shooting for between 25% and 75% engine RPM, no full throttle accelerations, but we do want to do kind of moderate load accelerations just to kind of get it, you know, seated in. The next drive will be full throttle accelerations up to probably about 75 to 80% RPM for about the same length of time. Of course, we're letting it cool down completely in between. And then finally, it's just putting miles on it after that point with about the same driving mentality as what part 3 is. So let's get to taking off and see how it goes.
What?
I'm gonna do one more check, make sure we're not puking fluids. Okay, we are moving under Project Beef's power. Oh my gosh, I love this car so freaking much. I missed it so much. That was such a long 6 months. Another thing to consider is the fact that this engine has not learned, the ECU, DME, whatever you want to call it, has not learned the amount of air that goes through this engine per revolution, per 2 revolutions rather. So it is going to need to calibrate. Obviously we had the battery unplugged the entire time, so it's, you know, naturally it's going to have to do some recalibration. It does that in 3.4 liter mode anyway. In this case, it's you know, more towards one extreme of airflow with regards to what this DME is expecting to see. So it's going to need to do some level of readjusting. My understanding is, especially under full throttle, it's going to, you know, need to adjust. So far, I haven't heard any signs of it being weird or acting strange. So that's fantastic. But obviously I haven't put it under full throttle and haven't brought it up to redline at all. So we are now coming up to temperature. All is good. Sorry, hopefully the wind is not too loud. I want to leave the window down just so I can listen better for any kind of abnormal noises. So far though, it literally sounds like this car has always sounded. Running smooth as silk. Once we do, wow, I can tell right away that this thing is torquier. Holy cow. Oh yeah. That's a 4th gear acceleration, and I can just, it just feels, oh, it feels faster. That's awesome. Dude, yes. That was 4th gear at like 2,800 RPMs, and you can just tell this thing's quicker. So once we get up to temperature, like I said, we are going to be going from probably about 2,500 to more like 3,000 RPMs up to 5,200 RPMs. So that's, you know, starting to get this engine in cooking territory for sure. Oh, this thing just sounds so good. Just sounds so good, dude. All right, I'm gonna do one more stop now that we are basically up at temperature. Check and make sure that we are doing all right. So, 1 second, I will pick back up in a minute. Good news is, everything checked out okay. Now, again, that we're up to temperature, it's time to start doing our break-in procedure. And that is, we're gonna do 3,000 to 5,200 RPM run-ups, and then we're gonna do off-throttle, just coast decel with clutch engaged. Dude, it is amazing. You can just tell that this thing is significantly more spicy than the 3.4 liter configuration. Plus the fact that my engine was, well, honestly, it was tired. Right? It was a 110,000 mile engine that was, what, 23 years old. So you'll have that, right? It was tired, but now she's refreshed and she's spicy. Okay, let's go down to 3,000-ish RPMs. We'll do our first little rip. Wow, dude, this car has never pulled like that. Holy cow. Oh, that was full throttle. Oops, I didn't mean to do full throttle. Well, whatever, we're breaking her in. All right, let's do another one. This is half throttle this time. I was getting a little eager. Even that feels about as powerful as what the 3.4 liter did. That was 3. Do one more on this road. You can definitely tell that transmission mount transmits quite a bit more up into the cabin. I can feel it more. But that's not all bad. Dude, this thing just feels good.
Gosh, I miss this car so much. Unreal, dude. Unreal. I wasn't even hitting it hard, and next thing you know, we're doing 75 miles an hour. What an animal, dude. This car. Oh my gosh, I freaking love this thing. Project Beef is beefing. I'm a little worried about coolant level, so you know, we were able to do several rips up to 5,200 RPMs under moderate throttle, one of which was full throttle, but we had a good time, okay? She's still running. So I'm gonna bring it back, we're gonna double check fluids, and then that'll be a good excuse to just let everything come back down to temperature completely, and then the next drive can be giving her the actual beans.
Oh, well, you guys, okay, so it was a good thing that we did come back just to check fluids really quickly, just because coolant had come down basically to the bottom of the expansion tank. Honestly, that is like super par for the course for these cars. Even with the vacuum bleeder, they do that. Like, you need a couple iterations of letting the thermostat open and filling it back up, which is completely normal. That's how these coolant systems work. They're just so large because they run from the back of the car all the way up to the front to normally 2, but now we have 3 radiators, which is kind of why I was wanting to be extra careful about it, because I wasn't sure how hard it was going to be to bleed out that third radiator. So far, it seems like it's not too bad. I haven't had to add that much coolant since doing the initial startup, maybe about a half gallon in total. But you guys, oh my gosh, I feel so incredibly happy and relieved. I mean, what an absolute beast, you guys. This thing is such a freaking beast. Oh, it runs just so well. It runs so well. There was not a single weird noise. A lifter tick that we were hearing when we did the first startup has gone away. To be expected. I mean, I think I even mentioned that at the time. These lifters, whenever you put brand new ones in, they're always not perfectly 100% filled, even though, you know, as you're installing them, of course, you check them and make sure there's no play. There's always just a little bit of play, and even that little bit of play causes some tick. So not only are we getting her broken in, but we have no fluid leaks to speak of. Somehow our coolant leak has healed itself. I don't know, I'm gonna have to keep monitoring that situation. No fuel leaks, obviously that's something that you don't want. And no more lifter tick from our brand new lifters. Not to mention the fact that this engine is such a spicy meatball. Just like driving around like at moderate throttle, you can tell this thing is so much more torquey than the 3.4 liter displacement engine. I just want to experience this car. I really wish we didn't have to let it cool down all the way right now until the next start, because I just want to go out and I want to drive it, and I want to drive it hard. And I mean, these break-in miles are going to be like torture. The first 300-400 on this break-in oil, and then we're going to do about another 1,000 miles of driving with the regular oil, but again, still kind of just taking it easy. We're not going to be full-blown romping on it. But that being said, we are going to try and just set a record to see how quickly can we drive 1,500 miles just to get this thing through its break-in period. That's a goal of mine. I just want to get to the point where she's ripping. I mean, is that a good goal? Can we agree on that? You know, can we agree as a unified Fun Ahead TV front that getting this thing through break-in ASAFP is a good goal? Let me know. Let me know what you think. I think it's a great goal. It is now officially time for the second drive. I have been gone for the last 5 days. So it has been that many days since we have driven the car. I just got out to the shop and went ahead and topped up the coolant and checked the oil. It's time to do our second drive, which that means this is the first drive where we can actually go wide open throttle, not up to red line yet, but we can do wide open throttle acceleration, so that's pretty exciting. So we're basically going to do the exact same formula as what we did the first drive, except for during the 5 to 6 accelerations this time, we're not going to do partial throttle, we're going to do wide open throttle. Let's go ahead and drive this car. You know what I mean? Hee hee. All right, everybody, starting off nice and easy to get a good warm up going on. Yeah, this thing it feels nice. It feels nice, you guys. Even as I'm being super duper easy on the thing, it just feels so good. So we'll try to get about a 20-minute drive in, 20 to 25-minute drive. Oh yeah, that's gonna be a nice little off throttle decel. Oh, it had a nice pop when I came back on throttle right there. That sounded so good. Dude, this thing has so much more torque than the 3.4 liter. It's freaking awesome. All right, let's do 3,000 to 5,000 pull. Dude, this is so much faster. It's so awesome. And that's a great opportunity to do a nice off-throttle decel for us. All right, we'll try to get one more of these in before we get off this road. The amount of torque. Oh, I'm freaking in love, you guys. Oh my God, this is awesome. This is awesome. It just, you can't help but get a freaking huge grin on your face. Like, oh my gosh, dude. This is so addictive now. This car is what I would consider to be like, now like the perfect balance of agility with power. I mean, before it was very agile, but I honestly felt like it was a little bit underpowered. Now oh my gosh, like, and I haven't even driven it on any curvy roads yet. I've just strictly been doing what I'm doing right now. So, dude, this is awesome. This is so freaking awesome. All right, well, we're coming up on 20 minutes of being out and about, and I think it's about time we start getting this thing home so that we can do another coolant level check. Might as well do one more full throttle acceleration up to 5,200 RPMs while we're at it. So the good news is, this is the third part of the initial break-in. You know, obviously we did that first start, ran it for 25-ish minutes just in the shop. Next one, we did light accelerations up to 5,000 RPMs. 20-ish minute drive. Man, I can just fourth gear acceleration. It did not feel like that before in fourth gear. This thing is a torque monster now. And obviously this one we're doing, you know, full throttle accelerations up to the same RPM. And next we can just drive indefinitely. We have no time limit on when we're supposed to you know, turn this thing off. For right now, you know, obviously we're trying to stick it to 20 to 25 minute drives. Tomorrow morning I am going on an extensive drive with this puppy, and I am so freaking psyched about it. Right now we've got 19 miles on this engine. I'm trying to get like 119 miles by the end of tomorrow morning's drive. That's my goal. I want to knock out all of this initial break-in, get this break-in oil out of this thing ASAP. That way we can start actually running it with the oil that is meant to be in the engine, and then you know, start putting some real miles on this puppy. Well, everybody, we back after yet another successful break-in drive. So let's go ahead and check our coolant level real quick. All right, well, I don't know if you can see that very well, but it did drop some, and I had it like right up to the recommended fill level before we started that drive, but it didn't suck the expansion tank completely dry. So that's a good thing. Obviously we're gonna let that come back down to temperature completely before topping it back up, because when the coolant's hot, it expands. That's why there's an expansion tank. So we will top that level back up on cold coolant. But for now, I'm pretty excited, because that means, you know, just the fact that the coolant isn't completely out of the expansion tank means that, you know, we're really starting to make some headway with regards to getting the coolant system bled. I will say though, I mean, that was, like I said, about a 25-minute drive, and I can tell that center radiator is making quite a difference. Like when we're up at speed, I mean, it's like keeping that coolant temperature like right back at the thermostat. Obviously, it's pretty effective. I'm very much hoping, and I'm hopeful rather, that it will make a huge difference on track. So obviously, so far so good with this engine. I mean, as we've noted so far, that I mean, this thing runs like an absolute bat out of hell. But even though so far so good, I'm still superstitious and I have not put my tools away. There they remain. Good news, everyone. Break-in is going swimmingly, or should I say swimmingly? I don't know. I'll leave, sorry. But we are now exactly 100 miles into engine break-in, which is great because that's about a third of the way through the mileage that I'm going to put on this initial break-in oil. I think I decided I'm gonna do right around 300 miles, then we'll swap it out and run the actual oil that will always run in this engine, which will be the Redline 5W50. But anyway, a third of the way through the initial break-in, that is really, really exciting if you ask me. And like I've said so many times already, I still cannot get over just how incredible this car is. The amount of power over the 3.4 liter configuration that this engine once was is just, it's amazing. And I cannot wait to just experience this more and more and more. I've had it on a couple curvy roads just during that initial 100 miles. And the difference that that power feeling makes while going down a curvy road is next level. I've been so used to really dialing in the handling of this car, at least from a driving standpoint, and then to add in that extra power, it just makes it such a well-rounded car. That's all I can really say about it. But here we are, you guys. Like I said, 100 miles in, and I just said we're gonna do the first drive in this video, but did we do the first, what, 4, 5 drives, I think, actually? More like 5, yeah. So I think we're gonna go ahead and call it there for today. Please like this video if you enjoyed this initial drive video, and please subscribe if you wanna see even more. We've got a lot to come with this vehicle right here. So yeah, that's it. We're gonna call it here for today. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Yes, you, I'm looking right at you. And I will see you all, hopefully, in the next video. Thanks. Oh, hey everyone. Just a quick reminder, super high quality Fun Ahead TV merch is available on funaheadtv.com right now. So head on over to funaheadtv.com and get yourself some today. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Also, thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see even more great Fun Ahead TV content, please click the link right here. I'll see you over there.
You know, it'd be a great capper to a great day. It'd be seeing a wild animal.